Battlefield Hardline is the latest release in the Battlefield franchise, and it's trying so hard to stand out with a non-military based theme in the FPS genre. But does that work? And more importantly, is it worth your money? Hardline is certainly an interesting concept, removing itself from the overly familiar camouflage and military hardware setting that every other shooter is willing to dress itself in, and it takes a step out from the comfort zone and brings us 21st century cops and robbers. Now, I applaud Visceral and DICE for taking a chance, trying to mix this up, and as usual, the marketing and the presentation of the game have been top notch. You can't click on a gaming website or video site without the trailers and the banner adverts reminding you of Hardline's existence. However, the gloss and the shine soon start to wear thin, and when you start playing Hardline and the faults with ripping the game out of a military environment soon start to present some glaring juxtaposition within the game. Now, let's start with the first worry that most of us have probably had. Why on earth has the Battlefield franchise been handed over to Visceral for this outing? We can all recount the issues with Battlefield 4 coming out far too soon after the release of 3, and the length of time it took for the issues with that game to be fixed. So we find ourselves in a situation not all that dissimilar from that of the Call of Duty franchise, bouncing back and forth between teams. Now that did ring alarm bells for me, especially as Visceral haven't really been known for first-person shooters. I mean, all things being fair, I did really enjoy the Dead Space series, but the wheels fell off this within the first 20 minutes of playing the single-player campaign. Firstly, I'm presented with levels as episodes. Previously on Hardline and coming up next on Hardline Segways. What the hell? Why in the first episode is my character gunned down more people than John McClane did in the whole of Die Hard? I thought it was a cop. Didn't think it was Rambo. All this is interweaved with stealth sections and tagging sections with what can only be described as HAL 9000 as a damn mobile phone. This thing's got facial recognition and the cognitive power to fucking sense when a clue's nearby. Seriously. It's bad enough you keep pulling me out of the game with a damn highlight reel, but you give me a phone that would be a more effective police officer than the main character I'm playing as. The voice acting is committed and all who turned up do a commendable job with what they're given, but that's not a great deal. The single player completely broke me. Normally I'll run through the campaign for achievements and unlocks, but I just can't. The single player is vapid and not worth the effort. Brutally realistic. Most of us don't buy Battlefield for the single player. After all, the game started as multiplayer only, and that's where the real meat of the game has always resided, right? Well, what can I say? What can I say? It's pretty. It's fast-paced. So are some of my exes, and we don't get on either. There's a reason Battlefield works as it does. If, for example, Call of Duty is rock, paper, scissors, Battlefield is rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock. And if you don't watch Big Bang Theory, that was a wasted joke. Battlefield has a relatively well-balanced mechanic, and Hardline's departure from the norm in the setting forces its hand in making some gameplay choices. We now have no tanks or jets, and I get that. That makes perfect sense. But why the hell do we still have helicopters with miniguns, and why do SWAT vans have machine guns mounted on turrets on the bloody roof? Why are RPGs and stingers pickups within the level? If we're pinned down by a chopper trying to take a point or an objective, why the hell do I have to run to another section of the damn map to pick up some damn anti-air? The inclusion of one mechanic within this game requires, by default, the inclusion of another to balance it out. Conquest is broken because of this, and in some cases really bad positioning of the capture points. Hotwire, which everybody's talking about, is the most banal and unbalanced mode in existence, and a complete and utter missed opportunity. Why couldn't, for example, the cops be protecting like a high-value vehicle, and the robbers be chasing that down and having to capture it? Nope, we just end up having to jack cars and then drive around pissing off all the NASCAR fans by only ever turning right. It's it's frustrating. Also, since the time to kill in Battlefield Hardline has been reduced, taking the right weapon is more important than ever. And a big thank you, I have to say, for making the damn default carbine, the R0933, whatever the hell it is, most underpowered weapon in the game. You actually look at the damage stats in this thing, it's lower than anything else that you can carry, and it's your default weapon when you start as the operator class. That puts you at a major disadvantage against mechanics and operators and enforcers and everybody else. And that put me on a back foot right from the start that I've never recovered from. The really annoying part is there was so much potential in this concept. So little effort was actually put into the execution. I know there are people out there who have absolutely fallen in love with this game, and to you people, I'm truly glad that you enjoy it. But for me, I'm going back to Battlefield 4. And if you're on the fence whether you should buy Hardline, I'd strongly recommend that you avoid it. If I have to tag a score onto this, at best, I give it a 4 out of 10. Seriously, think twice before buying.